Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Namo Brahmana Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Ja Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Te Namaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanasute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai Acharya Pastor Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna everyone, welcome. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Manjari.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay. So, welcome to Understand Gita in 18 Days, Chapter 9, Raja Guhya, Raja Vidya Yoga. So, it is called as the most confidential knowledge. So, Bhagavad-Gita deals with 3 confidential things. So, can anybody tell what are those 3 confidential things? Can attempt? Hare Krishna. Okay. Who am I? Okay, yes. So, the answer is the soul, right? Yes, good. So, that is the one right answer. What is the next confidential thing? I think you all can unmute. It must be open unmute. I mean, if you know the answer. No? Okay. With God. Okay. Okay. It is Paramatma is there in our heart. Okay. Krishna is there in our heart as Paramatma. That is the second confidential thing. And the third confidential thing is that Krishna has his abode. There is something called spiritual kingdom, right? These are the 3 confidential things we learn in Bhagavad-Gita. So basically the first 6 chapters usually deals with the difference between the body and the soul, right? So that is considered as confidential. And then the in chapter 7 and 8, we saw how we can perform describe mainly about the devotional services. And this 9th chapter mainly describes about the pure devotion, which is also called as most confidential thing, the pure unalloyed devotion to the Lord. So let's bear obeisances to Sri Radha Govind, ISKCON Mangaluru deities, and to Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So this is from Mayapur. So the Panchatattva we can see here, the Panchatattva deities and Krishna. So please do visit Mayapur. It's a very beautiful temple. Overview of the chapter. Krishna glorifies the knowledge he is about to reveal. So, about the king of all knowledge, right? Then Aishwarya Jnana, Krishna's relationship with this world. And then different types of worshippers, the glories of Krishna Bhakti. So these are the topics which are covered in this today's chapter. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshyam yanasuyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajnatva mokshase shubhat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence." Okay, what are the miseries of material existence? Can somebody name? What are the miseries of material existence?
Janam, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi.
Yeah, Janma, Mrityu, Jara and Vyadhi. And there is something called secondary miseries, right? The kleshas. Can somebody knows what are the three kleshas?
Adi Bhuta, Adi Deva, Adi Adhyatmika.
Yes, very good. Adhyatmika klesha, Adi Bhautika klesha, and Adi Daivika klesha. One Adhyatmika means caused by one's body and mind. Adi Bhautika is caused by other living entities. Adhyatmika means caused by devatas, the demigods, right? So these are the material miseries that we find. So Lord is saying here, because you are never envious of me. So that is a great quality. So if we have to become a devotee of Krishna, or if we need Lord's mercy, then we should not be envious. So many people have a question, why Krishna choose only Arjuna to tell? Because these are the special qualities that Arjuna has. So many times Krishna mentions that you are never envious of me, because many people, even Prabhupada gives in the purport that even the erudite scholars, right, they are also envious of Krishna, because they don't even give credit to Krishna. They use the Bhagavad-Gita content, but then they give as their own philosophy. There is no credit for the Lord. So there are many people who do that, and they inaccurately present also, not as it is. So that is why Prabhupada has given the Bhagavad-Gita as it is. So these are the people who are envious of the Lord. And Prabhupada gives an example, like if we are envious, so envious is a very bad quality. And if we are envious of someone, then in the next life, we will be born as snakes. Why? Because the snake simply bites someone. Even though the person has not done anything, it simply bites somebody. So that is a very bad quality. So if a person is having a lot of envious nature, and Prabhupada gives that example. So here, the Guhyatama Pravakshyami Anasuve. So here from me, Krishna says that I shall impart you the most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries. So we need to hear this spiritual knowledge, right? The hearing is given more and more. Even Tachrunu, even the 7th chapter, we saw that hearing is given more very importance in the spiritual life. So what happens when we are hearing more and more about the Lord, about his glories, pastimes, right? And then what happens? Our heart becomes cleansed. Cheto Darpana Marjanam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, right? So more and more we chant sincerely, then the heart will be cleansed. And what happens? It will be cleansed of the material enjoyment. So we are mainly more of addicted for the sense enjoyment. So that will gradually reduce, and we get interest in the devotional service of the Lord. So that is why this becomes very important, the hearing part. And Shravanam is the most first one, right? In the process of bhakti also. The first one is Shravanam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam. Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. So Shravanam is the given first importance. So now let's see what Krishna is going to say. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitramidamuttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartumavyayam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secret. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is perfection of religion. It is everlasting and is joyfully performed. So in India, there are many saints, like saintly people, like the philosophers who have found this philosophies, okay, doctrines of philosophies. They are called as Shad Darshana. So 6 for Indian philosophies, which consist of like Vaisheshika, Jaimini, right? This Nyaya, Gautama's Nyaya, and Sankhya philosophy given by Kapila Dev, and Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. So, and Vedanta is given by Vyasadeva. So there are around 6, and Vyasadeva defeated all this philosophy. So that is why Vedanta is the highest. So every philosophy had some or other flaws, and because Vedanta also is given by Vyasadeva, and also Mahabharata and Bhagavad-Gita is also written by Vyasadeva himself. So this education which we get in Bhagavad-Gita is considered to be the highest of all educations. So we don't get this knowledge of soul or Paramatma anywhere in any other material literature, right? So that is why this is called as Raja Vidya, the king of all education. And it is to be Pavitra Midam Uttama, the purest knowledge, right? Bhagavad-Gita is compared to Ganga. So it is as pure as Ganga. And Krishna is also the pure. So Krishna is called as Shuddham Apapavidam. So Shuddham means antiseptic, and Apapavidam means no sin can touch him. Sometimes Krishna's activities may look like sinful in the sense on material platform, but then it will be for the highest good. Always Krishna's activities are for highest good. And anybody gets in contact with Krishna, they also become pure, right? So that is why it is said as a purest. And whoever, like, if we read this Bhagavad Gita knowledge, when we come in contact with that knowledge, then even we get purified. So just like the sun, which falls on even on a dirty water, the water also get cleansed, right? It can, because it has antiseptic qualities. This example Prabhupada gives. So this is the purest knowledge, and it is everlasting and joyfully performed. So devotional services should not be performed like without interest. So utsahat nishchayat dhairyat tattat karma pravartanat sangat tyagat sato vritti shadbir bhakti prasidati. Rupa Goswami says in Upadeshamrita. So utsahat nishchayat dhairyat. So we should be always very joyfully, it has to be performed. You should be having patience, you should be having confidence, and all these things will enhance us in bhakti. So utsaha is very important. And susukam, because this Krishna in consciousness has to be joyfully performed. Prabhupada says that Krishna consciousness means eating, right? Eating, to eat, to chant, and to dance, right? Eat prasad, chant Hare Krishna, and dance. So it is to be happily performed. So this, any of the sense gratification things, when we involve ourselves in sense activity, there is no permanent happiness, right? So we saw in the earlier chapters, like the intelligent, the wise men do not indulge in the what is that, in chapter 5 there is a shloka, ye samsparsha jaboga dukkha yonavaye ivate adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. So all the sense enjoyments have a beginning and an end, and these wise men do not take enjoyment in them. So that is why when we when we engage in Krishna's activity in the devotional service, there is happiness, because we are part and parcel of the Lord, and when we connect with the Lord, only then we get that, we can that happiness. So the Gita, king of knowledge, we have studied different languages, right? In the schools and colleges, and we have heard of many other. Somebody can unmute, please. Some disturbance. I don't know who is that. Okay, yeah. So Gita is always on the top, because this knowledge, we don't get it anywhere else. So if we are not serious in school, what will happen? We won't be promoted to the next class, right? So similarly, if we are not serious in devotion, then what happens? We will have to remain in this cycle of birth and death, and we have to keep coming to this material world. or we don't know any other parts of the, different planets, right? We in the Goloka chart we saw yesterday. So there are different planets, the Atala, Vitala, Patala, and there are many. Like whoever does not do the devotional service, they go down into the lowest planets. And if we don't do that, if we don't take this human life seriously, then we will have to come back to this cycle of birth and death again. So this is an example of how, like with how Narada Muni, just from a maid servant, how he became a Narada Muni. So means it is so easy, the process of bhakti. Okay, so Narada Muni was in his previous life Gandharva. He was Upabharana. His name was Upabharana, and he was playing. I mean, he was very beautiful, and he was very proud of his beauty. So he was actually in the Indraloka, where what he does, like not in the Indraloka, in the Vaikunta, where everybody are praising the Vishnu, right? They are praising the Lord, Supreme Lord. So then he starts praising. I mean, he sees some Urvashi and Menaka and these all beautiful women in the heavenly planets, and then he starts singing something else. So by when they hear that, the devatas get very angry and they curse him that you're not fit to be in this planet. So you better be born as a human being. So you just imagine, we think that we are great, but in the other world, spiritual world, human being is considered to be the least. Because Prabhupada says we are a bag of stool and urine, because the blood, I mean, and we stink. I mean, we get sweat. So these things are not there in spiritual body. They are all transcendental. I mean, their body does not get. They don't have these problems like us. So then he was cursed to become a son of poor maid servant. Okay, and then what happens? He was a 4-year-old, and his mother, once the Bhakti Vedantist, okay, they're Bhakti Vedantist. They were all they visit their ashram. I mean, their the cottage, small cottage. So they were there for 4 months for Chaturmasha. And then his mother served them nicely with nice food and arranging for them all their bath and all the daily sadhana and all that she was serving. And even as a kid, he was also doing all the work for them. And finally, they're very pleased with him. And he used to take the remnants of the prasad. Okay, so whatever the leftover, their prasad, he used to eat. So by eating that, actually itself, he got the God consciousness. And they blessed him also, because he did so much of seva. While leaving, they blessed them, and they blessed him, and they left. So what happened later? One day, his mother was bitten by a snake, and she dies. So he didn't have anybody else. So though he was a small kid, he didn't cry. Okay, this story is in Bhagavatam. So this story is told by Narada Muni himself. He explains about this one to Vyasdev in Canto 1 it comes. So what happens? The mother dies, but then he didn't cry because he had that realization. So there is something higher, right, in life. So then he starts walking, and then he go in search of Lord, and he starts meditating upon Lord. So finally he hears the Lord. So he could hear. He saw himself and the Lord together in the heart. Okay, he sees together both of them, and then again he tries to meditate. He could not see. So then what happens? The Lord tells him that you are not matured enough. So in this life, you will not be able to see me again. So he says, and then he vanishes. The Lord, he only hears the voice. But then he did the tapas, and then after that he leaves his body. So next life he was born as Narada Muni. So this shows that anybody can attain perfection. Means that we need to have faith in the scriptures, but then with Lord, having faith in devotional service can bring perfection to anyone. So Navavida Bhakti, how can we do this bhakti? So there are different ways. Navavida means 9 types. So Shravanam means, for Shravanam, Pariksit Maharaj heard this Bhagavatam 7 days and 7 nights without food and water from Shukamuni. So that is why he is the Acharya for Shravanam. Kirtanam. So for Kirtanam, it is Shukamuni who told continuously 7 days and 7 nights, right? He was the one who was saying. Kirtanam means to speak up, to glorify the Lord. It's called as Kirtanam. And then Vishnu Smaranam. So Prahalad Maharaj was always remembering the Lord, right? Because every day he was, his father was attempting to kill him. So for one or other means, but then he was always, since he was always remembering the Lord, he was protected by his mercy. So Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. So Pada Sevanam, Lakshmi, who is always serving the lotus feet of Vishnu, right? So Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Sambrama Sevyamanam. So thousands of Lakshmis always ready to serve, that too with so much of enthusiasm, it's said in Brahma Samhita. And then Archanam. Archanam is Prutu Maharaj. So Prutu Maharaj was said to do this Archana, so very elaborately. And then Vandanam. Vandanam is Akrura. So while Akrura was going to bring Krishna and Balram from Vrindavan to Mathura, on the way he sees the steps, footprints of Krishna, then there only he starts paying obeisances. And their long prayers are mentioned in the Bhagavatam. That is why he is remembered for Vandana. And then Dasyam, so who else than Lord Hanuman, who is always worshipping Lord Ram in Dasya Bhav. And then Sakyam. Sakyam is Arjun. And Atma Nivedanam, who surrenders himself to Vamanadev, right? So Bali Chakravarti is remembered for this. So this is what Prahlad Maharaj's prayer, which when he comes from the Gurukul education, Hiranyakashipu asked his son Prahlad Maharaj, actually, what did you learn? So then he starts saying this song, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaran. So then immediately then he starts hating his son. So then the story continues like that in Bhagavatam. Ashraddadana Purusha Dharmasyasya Parantapa Aprapyamam Nivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. So, Ashraddadana means who is not faithful can never, Krishna says that that person cannot never attain me. So this faith becomes very important. Even in the material world, the faith is very important, right? So without faith, we cannot do anything. Wherever we go, like we put faith in that and we get it. Like, right? Or if you go to market or if you get something, so you have a faith when we bring that material, okay, this is a authentic. So some faith we keep that or some, if we see some brand and then we take without any checking, or when doctor gives us some medicines, without even seeing whether it is all right or not, we just take it, right? That faith we have. So similarly, that faith even in Krishna we need to have. So in how does this faith come in devotion? Only by the association with the devotees. That is why the association with devotees becomes very important. Especially we need association of senior devotees, and best association with is reading Prabhupada books and also hearing to Prabhupada, right? Hearing to Prabhupada lectures. So you will feel that real connection, right? He is a pure devotee, and always NND Prabhuji also recommends that it is good that every day we hear about Prabhupada. So because he has that realization, so when he speaks, that we can feel actually when you need to hear his lectures, because that conviction is there, and when they speak, that conviction is there in the devotional service, and they have walked that way, right? It's not that he is only speaking, his whole life he has been like that. So we need to develop faith by the association of devotees. And faith also differs, like in there are 3 types of devotees: Uttamadhikari, Madhyamadhikari, and Kanishtadhikari. So the faith in Lord and scriptures is high in Uttamadhikari. In Madhyamadhikari, okay, we'll start with in the Kanishtadhikari, it is very lowest. The faith is very low. He is not like, he can, it is very easy to shake his faith. Like he's not having, his faith is not strong because he is not well versed in the knowledge of scriptures also. So that is why Prabhupada says that we need to know at least few shlokas, we need to by heart, and we need to learn, because that is that authenticates when you're speaking to others. Simply if you're telling about Krishna something, they will not believe. Then you have to quote from Shastras. This Shastra says in Bhagavad-Gita, so and so shloka says like this. So then there is some weightage in your when you speak, right? So that is why it becomes important. So in Kanishta Adhikari, he don't know anything, and he cannot differentiate between a real devotee or if somebody is acting like a devotee. He cannot make out. And it is very easy for him to fall down to again materialistic life because there is no proper association there. But in Madhyama Adhikari, the person is having like he is very he has his confidence, his faith is very strong, though he may not be well versed in scriptures fully, but his faith in the Lord and the Guru is very strong, and he is very empathetic to the ignorant people, and he avoids the envious people. He doesn't encourage, he keeps the distance. So he has the differentiation. And usually if somebody wants to take up the preaching, then they have to at least come to Madhyamadhikari, Prabhupada says. And then Uttamadhikari means he don't have any differentiation. Even Kanishtadhikari don't have differentiation, but he don't, it is not on the same platform. Uttamadhikari means he sees everyone as equal because he's on that Brahmabhuta platform. So that is Uttamadhikari. So even Uttamadhikari, like Prabhupada, they have to come down to Madhyamadhikari to preach. Otherwise, you cannot correct if somebody is going wrong, because if they are on that platform. So the cycle of birth and death, both are painful. So Bhagavatam explains that even the birth is also very painful. And it is said that before we take, it is not very easy in the womb of mother, right? The baby has to, it is so restricted. The movement is very restricted for the baby. And also it has to go through a lot of pain. And the worms will be biting, constant biting of the worms, and so many things. And it is said that before taking birth, Krishna shows us 100 lives, previous lives, what we have done. And then we pray, the baby prays that, I will not do this mistake again. I will, this time for sure, when I take birth, I'm going to do devotional service and I'm going to come back to you. But then what happens? We come and then again, Puna Mushika Bhava, like we forget. We forget everything because of Maya, and then again we get in this birth and death cycle in intense enjoyment. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina matsthani sarvabhutani nachaham teshvavastitaha. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. So how to understand this? Krishna says in unmanifested form, its whole universe is pervaded. So this philosophy is said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has found this, he called it as Chintya Beda Abeda Tattva, means simultaneously one and different. And it is very inconceivable for us to understand. So Prabhupada gives an example of a king and a government. So government is actually a manifestation of king's energy, right? So because king cannot come to every place, but then government. So when we speak of, but then government, he exhibits his power through the government. So that's how we can understand Krishna. So Krishna, though Krishna physically he may not be seen, but through his energies he operates this world. So in this pastime, right, when Krishna shows universe to his mother in his mouth. So at that time, Krishna was outside also. And then when he opened the mouth and Mother Yashoda, she saw in his mouth that complete universe, and also inside the universe, she was able to see herself, right? So she was in the universe, we can see her. She was able to see herself also. And then she got fainted. So she couldn't believe what she was seeing. So this is called as something Achintya Beda, Abeda Tattva. So can somebody tell me any other example of this where Krishna showed this kind of Achintya Beda, Abeda Tattva? Well, there is one more instance which comes. I mean, there can be many. There is one more famous instance where Achintya Beda Abeda Tattva we can. Nobody knows? So one is that in Pariksit Maharaj. So Pariksit Maharaj was when in womb of his mother, right? So that time Ashwatthama, he leaves this Brahmastra to kill even the last child of the Pandava, the dynasty, right, of Pandavas. So he aims the Brahmastra to Uttara's womb, Abhimanyu's wife. And then Krishna, who was outside, and then also he became a very small, and he went inside her womb and he stopped the Brahmastra. So how did he do that? So this is inconceivable potency of the Lord. So we can only understand through Shastras. We cannot understand with our small brain. The whole cosmic order is under me. By my will, it is manifested again and again, and by my will, it is annihilated at the end. O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached, seated as though neutral. So Krishna has appointed all these devatas, right? All the devatas to take care of the administrative work. So he does not directly involve in any of the admins. So Krishna does not involve, only Krishna's expansion, like Mahavishnu. Then Mahavishnu creates innumerable universe. And then his expansion, Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu, he goes into all universe and create necessary paraphernalia. And then he again expands to Kshirodaka Shai Vishnu, who enters as a Paramatma to in each of the living entities and takes care. Right? He checks the actions of every living entity, and he notes down their karmas, and he checks their desires. So Upadrishta Anumantacha, what does he do? Upadrishta means he oversees and he grants. So these things are done by his all expansion. So also Krishna has other devatas, like Brahma Samhita says, Shrishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Reka Chaye Vayasya Bhuvanani Viparti Durga Icha Nurupama Piyasya Chacheshta Tesa Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Shrishti Sthiti Pralaya, the creation, maintenance, and annihilation. So this is done by Durga, because Durga is said to be the who is maintaining this Durg. This material world is called as Durg, or it is nothing but jail, because we are all like we have done some mistake, and because of that we are here in the material world. So she is a jailer. Okay, she's taking care of us. And yes, Agnaya Brahmati. Sorry, not that. Shrishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Reka Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vivati Durga Ichhanurupamapi Yasya Chacheshta means, as per Krishna's will, she acts as a shadow of him, and she only carries the instruction whatever Krishna has told. So everybody in that case, even the sun, the moon, everybody, all are working as per Krishna's instructions. Okay. And Prabhupada gives an example, and Krishna says here, all this work cannot bind me. So whatever Krishna does, he remained detached. Okay. So Prabhupada gives an analogy of a judge. So how a judge, though he involves, like he punishes a criminal, he can give anything. He can give a criminal to be hanged. But then judge will not have any karma for that, right? Because he is only giving for what he deserves. So similarly, whatever we are getting, it is based on our karma. So Krishna is not binded by it. Mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagadviparivartate. The material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all non-moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again. So this material energy, which is one of the energies. So what are the three energies of the Lord? What are the three energies? Krishna's three energies. Yes, Urmila Mataji.
Material energy, illusory energy, I think.
Yeah, material energy is the illusionary energy. Yes, material energy. And what is the other one? What is it called as? Material energy is called by some name. These energies are
Spiritual
called.
energy?
The potencies. The
Internal
potencies.
potency.
Internal potency, external potency, and then
Marginal.
marginal. Yes. So this is material nature is one of the external energies of the Lord, which Krishna is mentioning about here. So external energy is material energy, internal potency is Krishna's internal potency, and the marginal is we living entities, we come in marginal in potency. Avajananti mamudaha manushim tanumashritam param bhavamajanantaha mama bhuta maheshwaram. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme Lord of all that be. So when Krishna comes to this world, so people mistake him that he's a normal human being. That's what Krishna is saying here. So Krishna knows everything, what people think, right? They don't understand the transcendental nature of Janma karma cha me divyam, but people don't understand that. So it is just like the example you must have heard, like how when a prime minister visits a prison, but the criminals who are inside, they mistake him to be another criminal. So similarly, when Krishna comes to material world, so people also think that, okay, he's also one among us. He is not different. Though he performs so many inhuman activities, right? Superhuman activities he performs, still people don't believe. So there's one pastime, actually I was hearing to one of devotee, where he was explaining how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not reveal, actually Lord does not reveal that he is God, but then somehow the pure devotees, his associates find that he is Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came, he never told that he is Krishna. And actually, if somebody called him Krishna, he used to close his ears, that please don't call, I can't hear. Right? And then what happens in Bhagavatam, there is a Yugavatara, again, description of Yugavatara comes. So there, what happens, there is a mention of how he looks in Yugavatara. So he's a golden complexion, he starts Sankirtana movement and all this. Like when the Nava Yogendras, they visit King Nimi, this was explained. So this instance when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was doing, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very hurriedly went while explaining Bhagavatam. Then Sanatana Goswami, who was hearing, then he asked him, why are you hurrying so fast? So then he says, can you please, it all looks like you, because more of that, it is like, it says golden complexion, Krishna is coming in a golden complexion, he's going to do Sankirtana movement on all this. And then he says, oh, please stop. I mean, I think you are, he doesn't like that. He says that, oh, you are asking me very difficult questions which I cannot answer. And then he hurriedly went to the next chapter. He didn't read that much. So that, but then it shows that, but somehow he got to know that I'm caught, right? Sanatana Goswami understood that he is Lord himself, but he's trying to hide. So he only reveals himself to the pure devotees. So, but then for other people, for the non-devotees, he does not reveal himself, right? Krishna says that from his yoga maya, he covers himself. And so then that is why they cannot understand the Lord. Mogasha moga karma no moga jnana vichetasaha rakshasi masurim chaiva prakritim mohinim shritaha. Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demonic and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. So because this, they are deluded because they don't believe in God. What Krishna does, she tells Maya, his external energy, to make the person become more and more he goes into more and more illusion, right? Krishna does that. Krishna can do anything. And these people, because of their atheistic nature, they tell that everything, the creation is also has come out of nothing, right? This is all, or they call that whatever Big Bang theory. So from explosion, the creation, because though the scriptures clearly mentions about the 84 lakh species and all this, but then they don't believe. They will never understand Bhagavad-Gita, right? So what will happen? So they will be getting birth in different lower species of life. So Ishopanishad says, Asurya nama te loka andhena tamasa vritaha tamste pretavi gachanti te yete chatmahano janaha. So the one who is neglecting the soul, okay, so that person, Asurya namate loka, means where there is no brightness, right? Prabhupada also calls the countries, the Western countries where there is no light. So it is not good actually. I mean, there should be light. There should be a proper sunlight. So, so the people will go to Asurya namate loka, means where there is no sunrise, or it can be called also as ignorance, complete ignorance. There is no accessible to, they won't have accessibility to the scriptures. So such Asurya namate loka andhena tamasavrita tamste pretabi gachanti yeke chatmahano. Yeke chatmahano janaha means who are killer of the soul, the person who is a killer of soul. So such people will go there. So that's what Krishna is saying in this shloka. Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritimashitaha bhajantyananya manaso jnatva bhutadim avyayam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. So the great souls never forget about Krishna, right? So Prabhupada always remembered Krishna, and he never forgot. So even he was in, when he was first, he landed in America. He, because he saw there that most of the people are in the mode of passion and ignorance, right? Completely ignorant to the self-realization, knowledge of self-realization and God. So he cries actually, why Krishna, why did you bring me to this hell? Right? So the pure devotees, they want to be in remembering of Lord. So when there is no Krishna, or when there is, they don't have access to it, so they don't feel, I mean, they cannot relish that place, or they cannot be happy in such a place, because they like to be engaged in Lord services. So this is a pastime from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Madhavendra Puri. So Madhavendra Puri is a spiritual master of Ishwara Puri. Ishwara Puri is the spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's spiritual master, Madhavendra Puri. So he was a great devotee of the Lord. And once in Vrindavan, he was like, he didn't have food, and he was chanting the holy name. He was chanting the whole day, and he didn't have the whole day. So he was thinking, he was feeling hungry. So he didn't know what to do. But then suddenly one boy appears. So one boy appears and he brings him a milk. He gives in a pot of milk. And then he was surprised. How did you come to know that I was hungry? And then the boy tells him that in our village, we don't allow anybody to starve. So my mother sent me that there is one sannyasi there who is chanting. Please go and give him. So that's why I came to give you. So he was very pleased. He takes that and he has the milk and he sleeps. And in the dream, the same boy comes, the bluish boy. And he comes and he says that I need a help from you. So come, I'll take you somewhere. So he goes, he catch hold of his hand and then he takes. And he takes him to near Govardhan Parvat. And then he says that you have to dig here. There is a deity. My deity is inside here. I am being buried inside. So from many years, okay, you have to take it out and you have to give me a bath and you have to construct a temple and you have to do puja. And all this he says and he vanished. And then morning he wakes up and he thinks whether this dream is true or not. So then what happens? He goes and then he takes all the villages and he goes there and then they do all the digging, and finally they were able to find the deities, the Gopal deities. And then he understood that, okay, then the boy who came and gave me the milk was none other than Krishna himself. So and then what he wants, he was so happy, and then the pot also, he made it into the, he made a powder of it, and he used to have that also every day, right? Because it was given by the Lord. So, and then he installs also. So this is a famous pastime where the Krishna personally, he came and he spoke to his pure devotee. So then they did the temple also. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So the great determination, so they are very determined. So Prabhupada, even though at age of 70, he was determined to go to West and preach the Krishna consciousness, because that was the desire of his spiritual master, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, right? So though he in the ship, he went in a cargo ship where he had 2 heart attacks. So all that strain he took, but then because he was determined, so he had to go and preach. So that's how the Satatam Kirtayantyam. So always they are singing the glory. So many temples Prabhupada constructed, 108 temples. But then he was always so humble. Even after having so many temples, he was Prabhupada, the opulences and the richness, because from 40 rupees, Prabhupada made 40 crores in a span of 10-12 years. But then that didn't change him. He was the same. He was same. And this is the image where, this is the picture where they did the Rath Yatra in Jagannath. The Jagannath Rath Yatra they did in San Francisco. So all his disciples, because that was the wish of Prabhupada. Actually, it all started with one of his devotee, but from an exhibition there, she brings the statue of Jagannath, right? The deities she brings. By seeing that, then Prabhupada gets a wish that why can't we make a bigger one and make a temple? And then he also gets a wish that why I need to do a Rath Yatra. So everything his disciples fulfilled. So that's how the pure devotees, they always engage in the glorification of God. Pitahamasya jagataha mata data pitamaha vedyam pavitram onkara riksamaya jurevacha. I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am the Rik, Sama, and Yajurveda. So Krishna is father of everyone. Right? He is the oldest. So Adi Purusha is Krishna, is Adi Purusha, and even older to Lord Brahma, and object of knowledge. So what is the object of knowledge? So to know Krishna. Even the Vedas, why do we study Vedas? Vedaishta sarver ahameva vedyo. So reading of Vedas is basically to understand the Lord. The main object is to understand the Lord. So Krishna says, I am the Om and all the Vedas. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master and the witness, the abode, the refugee and the more dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place and the eternal seed. O Arjuna, I control the rain and the drought. I am immortality and I am also death personified. Both being and non-being are in me. So Krishna is the goal. So we all have a different goals, but all based on our sense gratification. But actually, the end goal is Krishna. So, and controller also. Krishna is the supreme controller, right? So, Bhuktaram Yagna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. I am the controller. Krishna is the controller of both the spiritual and the material also. Tetam bhuktva svargalokam vishalam shine punye martya lokam vishanti evam trayi dharvam anuprapanna gata gatam kama kama labhante. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of 3 Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. So the Vedas usually speak only about how we can live in this world, right? I mean, how we can enjoy more by doing different sacrifices. So actually, Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, in chapter 2, Yamimam pushpitam vachyam pravadantya vipaschitaha vedavadaratav partha nanyadastiti vadinaha, means they are carried away by flowery language of the Vedas. They think that only this enjoyment, right? Nanyadastiti vadina means there is nothing apart from enjoying, right? Kamat swarga parajanaha janma karma palapradam. So Bhogaishwarya
వీళ్ళకేమో తమిళ్లో మాట్లాడతారు వాడి ఫ్రెండ్స్.
Please be on mute. Yeah. So Krishna says that. Krishna says that. So because their desire is, they have so many desires. So they think that only getting a good birth, getting or a good son, or going to heaven, this itself, there is nothing more than this. But then what happens? So similarly, Krishna saying that. So those people can go there to heavenly planet. They enjoy for a long time. So because of the pious activities. But then when it's all exhausted, just like a currency exhaust, and then again we have to work, right? If our bank account is empty, then again you have to go and work. So similarly, they have to come back again and take birth here. So Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartinorjuna Mamu Petyetu Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. So from the Brahma planet of Brahma to any other planet, the lower planets, we have to come back again. But if you take to Krishna consciousness and to worship Krishna, then if we go to spiritual world, then there is no birth again. So it's just compared to a giant wheel. So you go high and then you have to come down again. So this is how happens if a person is stick only to the rituals which are mentioned in the Vedas. So 90% of Vedas only deal with these things. Anannastintayanto mam ye janav paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. But those who are always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So this is like a story of Arjunacharya, who was a great devotee. He was very fond of this verse. He was always meditating upon it, and one day he feels that when he was meditating upon it, so here Krishna says that I carry what they lack, I preserve what they have. Then he thinks, how is this possible? He is a Lord of the universe, he is a supreme Lord. How can he personally come and do all this? I think there is some mistake in this verse. Maybe Krishna will send his person. So he corrects it. He corrects those words and he changes. And then what happens? He was they were very poor, and he was having a Gurukul, and there were many children also. Then his wife tells, please go and get some food. We don't have anything for cooking. So he goes. So he goes for a bath, and then then what happens? In some time, the two beautiful boys, they come with a cart full of groceries and fruits, vegetables, everything, which would be sufficient for many months. So they bring so much on, and then she was surprised. Then she asked, who has sent you all this? Then he said, your husband sent. But your husband is very bad, like he's very harsh. So what did happen? Because she sees that on their back there are 3 marks. Okay, there was a bitten mark. Then he says, what happened? Then they say that one of the boys says that because he bet us, because we didn't bring, so please take it, so we have to leave now. So then she says that, okay, please have some food and go. Then they hurriedly have something and they leave. And then by the time this person while coming, he couldn't get anything. He is thinking, what will I tell how will I show my face to my wife? I didn't get any food today. Then thinking, he comes, but then he sees that she has prepared so many food items. Then he asked, like, how is this possible? Then he says that there were 2 boys who came. One was a bit dark and one was fair. So both were very, very beautiful, very beautiful looking boys. And they told that you bet them. You have sent them, but you have bet them. So then he thinks like me. So then he was, and then when she explains their personal features, how they looked. He gets a doubt that, and then he runs and he sees the book. And then he understands that he had scratched that words that I carry what they lack, I preserve, right? So to prove that, Krishna had personally comes and he had delivered. So then he understand, okay, so that was my mistake, right? Because he scratched that is what the indirectly they showed that they had that marks on their back. So that was the thing. So Krishna's potency is unlimited, and we cannot understand his power by our infinitesimal intelligence. He expands himself to interact with each and every spirit soul personally. So that's how Krishna expansions are unlimited. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Krishna can, it is just like in a bucket full of sesame seeds, right? So many Brahmandas are there, and similarly Krishna can expand because only limited numbers have been mentioned in the our Puranas. Yanti deva vrata devan pitrunyanti pritivrataha bhutani yanti bhutecha yanti madhyajinopi mam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. So we can see here. So whomever we worship. So just like if we take a ticket, right? If I want take a ticket to Delhi and I sit in a train which goes to Kolkata, so I will be going to Kolkata only. I cannot go to Delhi, right? Whatever ticket I have taken, I will go there. So similarly, whatever we worship, the destination will be fixed. So if I worship the Devatas, then I will go to the Devatas world. So if you do Indra, then you go to heaven, right? So similarly, if we the materialistic people, or some people worship the people as a god. So and so they take among the earthly planets, and then people who worship that ghost, right? They take birth in ghostly planet. So these are all mentioned in the Shastras. So now Krishna says like how one can worship him. Patram pushpam palam toyam. Okay, you all can repeat after me. Patram pushpam phalam toyam.
Patram pushpam phalam toyam.
Yo me bhaktya prayachati.
Yo me bhaktya prayachati.
Tadaham bhaktyu
Tadaham bhaktyu
Ashnami prayatatmanaha.
Ashnami prayatnatmanah.
Patram pushpam phalam toyam.
Patram pushpam phalam toyam.
Yo me bhaktya prayachati.
Yo me bhaktya prayachati.
Tadaham bhaktyu paratam.
Tadaham bhaktyu paratam.
Ashnami prayatatmanaha.
Namashyami prayatnanmanah.
Thank you. So if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit or water, I'll accept. So Krishna is asking all of us that with love, if you offer just a leaf or a flower, a leaf means tulsi leaves, and a flower, a fruit or water, then Krishna will accept. So whatever we prepare, okay, you need not prepare, okay, occasionally you can prepare some sweets, or okay, now Janmashtami is coming, on that day you can prepare. So otherwise every day, whatever you do, morning, right? So just do in Shuchi. Shuchi means at least after taking bath. And whatever we offer, it should be without onion, garlic, and okay, then sattvic food. So then keep everything separate plate for Krishna and offer it in and each bowl, whatever we keep, we have to put one tulsi leaf, and then keep in front of God, and then pray the Panchatattva mantra and Hare Krishna mantra, right? And then keep it for some 3 minutes to 5 minutes, and then after that it become prasad, and then we can have it. So I request everyone to start. If you have not started so far, please do start, because there are so many. I think we'll come here, the benefits of offering. So these are the 4 things that Krishna is asking us to offer: Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, and Toyam. Toyam means water. So devotees who offered with love. So Sudama, right? He only brought a little poha, and then Krishna grabbed it from him, because Krishna was a king in Mathura. He had so much opulence and he was living in palace. But then, because he brought in so much of devotion, he loved that and he took it from him and he had. And also Krishna loves poha a lot, right? And then this is Lord Ram, how he accepted the bitan fruits, right? Because she had become so old, Shabari, all life she was waiting for the Lord, to see Lord Ram. And every day she used to do the same thing, thinking that today he may come, today he may come. And so when he comes, she was so excited, and she was taking all the fruit and she was tasting whether it was tasty, and the bitan one she was keeping, right? So actually Lakshmana was surprised. How is he? I mean, being Lord, he's having this. So, but then Lord Ram has, because Krishna says, Ashnami Prayatatmanaha. When you offered me with love, I will take it. So if we offer with love, Krishna will surely take it. And so here, where Gajendra offered a flower with love, right? And then Krishna accepted. So what is Prashadam? If somebody can read, unmute and read. So wants to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji. May I read, Mataji?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Mataji. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of ISKCON, says Krishna does not accept anything from the hands of a non-devotee. Why should he accept? He is not hungry. He does not require any food. He accepts only the devotion, that's all. That is the main point. So one has to become a devotee. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, yeah. So what is Prabhupada is trying to tell here? So Krishna is a owner, right? He is a supreme Lord. Why does he have anything? Why should he actually depend on our food? Actually, he don't want anything. This is for our own good. If we have, like, right? So if we offer the food, that is for our benefit only. Because we offer with love, Krishna will take. And also, it is like, just like our NAD Prabhuji also gives this example, like how father, right? The father brings lot of chocolates to his kid. But then if a child is offering back a small one, or he cuts it and gives one bite to his father will really love that, right? So similarly, Krishna also, he gives us everything. Actually, if you see the whole, by the end of Bhagavad-Gita, all the chapters, when we understand that even this body we are not able to maintain on our own. In chapter 15, Krishna says, he, as the Jataragni, as a fire, without Krishna we cannot even digest our food. Okay, he's also he's a life air. And the Matta Smriti Gnanam, the memory, the forgetfulness, and the remembrance, everything is coming from Lord, the subtle thing. So all is subtle, he's maintaining our subtle body, he's maintaining our physical body, and from outside also to live in this material world, he has given all the arrangement, and he's taking care of all the living entities, right? Not only from small ant, right, to the elephant, Krishna takes care of the food of everyone. So how is he arranging all this? So for him, it is not a big thing. But then if we give with love, Krishna is so happy because he's only desiring only love from us, nothing more. Krishna does not want anything from us, because he has everything. If he wants, he only wants the love. So we need to, at least we start giving, if nothing, if you cannot at home, you are not able to do without onion, garlic, then at least start giving the fruit, right? You can at least keep the fruit, and when we eat the fruit, so what are the benefits? It purifies our mind, to advance in bhakti, to develop finer tissues in brain. So the prasad that we eat, because what happens, Krishna's saliva is there in that food. So because Krishna, he did not actually, when he sees the prasad, it is like he had it. And it is not like us. For Krishna, everything, for us, if we, if they have the prasad, then prasad will get over, right? But for Krishna, if we see the item, everything looks full only. But even if Krishna had it also, it looks full. but then there is a saliva, Krishna's saliva. That is why it is that the consciousness will change. So we heard the story of Narada Muni, how by having the prasad from Bhakti Vedantist, his consciousness changed. The pure devotees prasad is so pure. Even when Prabhupada was traveling, right? Prabhupada, when he was traveling in a plane, so he was having poha. He used to carry the food, prasad. And when he was having, suddenly the air hostess, actually she was serving him like with milk and all that, because they didn't have any other food. He was coming and she was coming and she was curious. And suddenly what she does, she asked, she took off from his plate and she has it, the prasad. Then that lady, after many years, after 10 years, she had become a Vaishnava, because they gave some book to her. So she read that and she got interested, and there she went in her place, and there she explored some ISKCON temple, and that's how she had become a pure devotee. Means that is the powerful power of the prasad. So just imagine, the pure devotees prasad is so powerful, right? So that is why we have to offer to Krishna. So that prasad, when we eat, not only in for spiritual life, even for children, if you start giving to your kids, right, it will really have a very good impact on their memory, right, and concentration. So try to make prasad and feed your family. So it will be purifying our mind, and it will give that mind to advance in spiritual life. So it's very important. So we can see here Prabhupada himself cooking prasad. And this is how it's offered in temple. So each bowl you have to keep like this. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yajjuhoshi dadasi yat yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurashva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So whatever we do, we have to do as an offering to the Lord. Then there is no binding. Otherwise, it becomes a binding. Because if we do as a pious activity, so again you have to take birth, right? Like you go to heavenly planet, enjoy, and then we saw again you have to come back. So, but when the activity is in Krishna consciousness or devotional service, it becomes akarma. So there is no binding. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha e bhajanti tu mam bhaktya mai te teshu chapyaham. I envy no one, nor am partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. So Krishna is not partial, because he gives. So he's there in Paramatma in everyone's heart, right? He's there as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and whatever the Krishna gives, the facility, whoever in the universe, like everybody gets to have the water, or everybody gets sunlight, right? The everything God has given everybody, but then he is partial to his devotees, in the sense, partial in the sense, Krishna says he is a friend in me and I am also a friend, because it is just like Prabhupada gives an example, like a father has a 4 sons. So one son is very dear, because he's the one son is following strictly all the rule. I mean, whatever the father says, he's very obediently following the rules. Okay, and so obviously that son will be very dear, right, to the father. Though he has all the sons are equal to him, that special concern is there on that son. So similarly, Krishna's that special mercy is there on the pure his devotees. Api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadureva samantavyah samyak vyavasito hi saha. Even if one commits the abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly, because he is properly situated in his determination. So all of us, we are not become pure devotees, right? We have just started our journey. Obviously, we may commit some mistakes, knowingly or unknowingly. But then Krishna says that though one person commits some abominable action, but then if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly. So it doesn't mean that I keep doing the same mistake. Okay, I may do by mistake, but then I should not continue doing that, right? I have to correct myself, and then I should not do that again. So then Krishna will forgive me. So that is what this shloka says. So because he's properly situated. Why? Because Krishna is papam apapa viddam, right? Shuddham apapa viddam. Whoever comes in connection with Krishna has to become purified one or other day. It's a matter of time. The person will 100% become purified because he's in the right path of devotional service. So this is a story from Chaitanya Charitamrita. There are two people, right? Jagai and Madai. So these two were Naradamas, like they were fallen. Fallen in the sense they were born in a low, in a Brahmin family, but because of association, they got into, they were engaged in all the sinful activities, and they were breaking all the 4 regulative principles. So one day while doing Sankirtan, they threw a stone at the Sankirtan party, and it fell on Nityananda Prabhu's head, and he started to bleed. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to know, because he's a Krishna himself, and then he comes there and immediately he tries to take out his Sudarshan Chakra. And we see that Nityananda Prabhu is stopping him, because he says that, why are you doing this? Kali Yuga, people are already dead. Because when we don't know what is self-realization, that means we are literally dead. So he says, don't kill them. So then he says that, okay, if they take to Krishna consciousness, they start chanting the holy name of the Lord, they take Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then I forgive them. Then they have to ask you forgiveness from you. So then he forgives them. So then they also become a devotees. So they also chant, and then they become the devotees. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. So Krishna, maybe if Krishna, if he says something, Krishna may, Krishna may not do what he said. Like he said, like I as a charioteer, I'll not do anything. But then for his, in the previous, right, we saw here. So we saw he took out the chariot wheel, right? When Arjuna was in danger, he could not see that Krishna. So though he was not supposed to, as a charioteer, he was not supposed to, but he did that. So so that is why Krishna is telling here. Why is he telling to Arjuna, you declare? Because if I declare something, maybe I will not do that, but then you declare, because he will take care of it. If the devotee has told, he will not make him fail. So my devotee never perishes. So the confidential knowledge is Manmana Bhava Madbhakto. Okay, you all can repeat. Manmana Bhava Madbhakto.
Manmanam Bhava Madbhakto.
Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru.
Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru.
Mame Vaishyasi Utvaivam.
Mame Vaishyasi Devyam.
Atmanam Matparayanaha.
Atmanam
Parayanaha.
Manmana Bhava Madbhaktaha.
Manmana Bhava Madbhaktaha.
Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru.
Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru.
Mame Vaishyasi Utvaivam.
Mame Vaishyasi Devyam.
Atmanam Matparayanaha.
Atmanam Parayanaha.
Thank you. Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, you will surely come to me. So this is a confidential knowledge. So essence of Bhagavad-Gita is to surrender to Lord. So how to do that, Krishna is explaining here, right? So Manmana, so always think of me. Become my devotee. Manmana Bhava Madbhakto. Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru. Right? Becoming my devotee means keeping prasad, chanting, right? Keeping the fasting. So we have Janmashtami day after tomorrow, right? And tomorrow also there's a function online you all can attend. And tomorrow and day after we won't be having the class. Okay. So we request everyone to please join online. And try to keep fasting on Janmashtami day. Krishna will be very pleased. So whoever possible, you can keep Nirjan. And whoever cannot, you can at least keep with the fruits. So whoever doing Nirjan, so morning, from morning the 19th, you have to keep like after sunrise, we are not supposed to have anything. Before sunrise, you can have. And then that day, midnight, because Krishna was born in midnight, that midnight we break the fast and you can have some fruits. Or if you are already having fruits, then you can take the food at midnight. So here, Manmana, so Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru, Namaskuru. So paying obeisances to the Lord, right? So then you will certainly come to me, Krishna says. So our relationship with God is the best relationship we can have, right? It is the eternal relationship. The stalled relationship that we have in this world is on temporary platform, but only with Krishna we can have this eternal relationship. Okay. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha anantakoti vaishnavati ki jai namacharya Thakur ki jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you everyone. Hare Krishna. Any questions on today's chapter? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for listening.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for explaining so very well.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So any questions on today's chapter?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Mataji, at midnight we have to break our fast on Janmashtami.
Yeah. Yes, Mataji.
If done with water, then with fruits. If done with fruits, then
Yeah.
what, Mataji?
Yes. If you are doing nirjal, then when you take water, then your fast will break. Or if you are doing with fruits, then you can take the food that time.
Okay, Mataji. At midnight we have to break.
Yeah.
Because next
at
day
midnight.
is some.
Next day is
something
again
more.
there is a Prabhupada appearance day. So that day again there is a half day fasting till 12 o'clock.
So midnight we can break, and from next day we can start again.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Hare
Some
Krishna.
like something with salt we can take at the midnight, Mataji.
Yeah, actually, better avoid the grains. Okay, avoid the grains. Yeah, but then if
Mataji-
you are not able, yeah, yes, Mataji.
Mataji, can you name some of the things which can be taken on that midnight? Some of the items like
No, anything like normal,
aware
normal how you do on Ekadashi, Mataji. Nothing special. Same thing. How you do for Ekadashi, no? Whatever you like, yeah, you can prepare the Ekadashi, whatever vrata you for that. Yeah, the sabudana khichdi or the sweet potato or paneer or milk and these things. Yeah.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Happy
Hare Krishna.
Janmashtami to everybody. May
Yeah,
Krishna
happy.
bless us. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Happy
Thank
Janmashtami, everyone.
Yeah.
So everyone, please join for online programs. Okay. So if there are no questions, let me know if there are any questions. Otherwise, we can close. No questions? Okay. You all can unmute and we can say Hare Krishna thrice and we can close. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. So, see you on. Okay, I think, yeah. Hare Krishna.